Today, I wanted to make another get out of video, but I spent most of this week in hospital, so instead, here is a champion guide. We are having a look at Nautilus, since I always try to bring more people towards support. Let's start with runes. Nautilus is, of course, engage and lockdown support. So first, you always wanna go Aftershock, so you can get more dives, stay longer in team fights. Really good rune for support. Then, because of all of your shielding from W and other sources, I'd recommend going for Shield Bash. Sometimes you can go Demolish if you know that you're gonna have really strong line and wanna push towers easily, for example with Tristana, but I would 90% of the time recommend going for Shield Bash. Next, we got usually bone plating or second wind, depending on enemy support. Like against some hard engage, like Leona, you of course go bone plating. Against poking like Senna, Soraka, or similar, you go second wind. Unless your whole team, possibly both of the teams, are really centered around late game, you can go for conditioning and try to be relevant in the late game too, which isn't as hard because of all your CC, but this helps. But again, just like with Shield Bash, 90% of the time it's either bone plating or second wind. And last, most people here are usually going unflinching because it gives you a lot of possibilities to CC someone because you're not gonna be CC'd. But overgrowth works well with your W and your items, so I usually go for this. So you can be a bit more tanky because even though you can build like tank, Nautilus isn't a tank just by saying. So this can help you with it. For secondary tree, you wanna take inspiration with perfect timing and cosmic insight. Cosmic insight is obvious, you just want to have as short cooldowns as possible. And perfect timing I use because you will be building Gargoyle Stoneplate every game. And so this allows you to buy it much faster. And sometimes can save your life so you can tank some turrets and similar things. It works really well. If you wouldn't want to go for this, you can take biscuits instead. And for smaller runes, you wanna take 10% CDR, then armor and health. Of course, if enemy ADC is not ADC but deals magic damage, you will switch this for magic resist. Sometimes if you know that they have really strong AD or Ant AP comp, you can take armor and magic resist as your second. But most of the time you just want those health again because you work well with it. And that's gonna be everything for the runes. And in a while we'll be in a game where I will be talking about everything else. And here we are. So just for the start, for summoner spells you want to take Ignite and Flash, because Flash is must be today with most of the champions, and Ignite works really well on most supports. You can go for uh, Exhaust, but I would only do that if enemy team has really big assassin comp. Now let's get to the items. So for your starter items, you want to be taking Relic Shield and Health Potions. Relic Shield works really well because you can get cannons, and sometimes you can use it to quickly kill minion and use Q on the champion behind him. Even though how old Nautilus is, people sometimes still don't expect it. For your first item you want to be getting are always gonna be Moby Boots. Because thanks to all your CC, you have still really low mobility and to wanna be roaming a lot. So after you buy them, I usually go to mid if our mid laner is there, and then slowly rotate back to bottom, possibly being able to get 2 successful ganks. So mobbies are always really good. For your next item, you will want to take a Gargoyle Stone Plate because early game it's extremely strong, possibly giving you 80 armor, and it is also quite cheap thanks to you having your stopwatch. And yeah, I oh my god. Well, while we're waiting for stopwatch to being able to be sold, you always wanna be playing really aggressive with Nautilus because you have a lot of CC and trade possibilities thanks to W. So always try to trade with enemy champions early, where you when you still have some damage. And let's go back to items. Second item is going to be Night's Vow because again it gives you nice basic stats and gives your ADC more chance to survive and increases your movement speed and armor again, so you really gonna have all that beefy cheeks to go through. Now you probably wanna always finish with Zeke's again, great basic stats, and the ultimate synergy is also nice. And Solare, because you'll be building a lot of health, and armor and magic resist will be really nice too. Now let's go and upgrade abilities. Oh, so for skill order, you always wanna start with your Q, then going for at the start of the game W and then E. Maxing you're gonna be in order Q, E, W, and R every time possible. Because E gives increased slow with every level, so it's a bit better than W, which increases your shielding by 1% of your max HP. Now, let's get to it. I'll just spawn dummies. I said dummies. So, let's start with your passive. This staggering blow. With every first auto attack against the target will root it. It scales up to 1.5 seconds, so it's really nice, and you can possibly root 2 targets really quickly with your W. I'll talk about that later. But it is really nice, and thanks to it being auto attack and you having quite a long range, it's really easy to use. You just auto attack someone and they can't move. It's great. Next, your Q is a really long range and wide skill shot, able to hit either enemies or terrain. If you hit terrain, you will be pulled to it. So you want to use it for escapes and going to line faster. You just because also every time you hit terrain, it returns mana, half of mana cost and half of its cooldown. So it's really good, and with your mobbies you will be moving really fast around the map. If you hit champion, you will pull yourself towards him and him towards yourself. At the end, you will knock him back, so he will end up at the same position, but he will always be pulled towards you for a little while. So that's a nice thing to keep in mind. So as you can see here, I put him, and also every time you hit someone, Nautilus will automatically auto-attack them. You can avoid it by clicking away with your movement key, but I usually just let it go because it works really nice and gives you a long time of CC for them, as you can see. Another thing is that if you're standing next to your target, it will only knock them back. So usually try to keep that in mind. So as you can see right here, he's just knocked away. And that's gonna be everything to Q. Also, it has a very wide range, so I'm gonna go somewhere else, for example here. If you see enemy in here, you can see it's really wide. So if you're trying to hit someone, don't just go for them straight up, but try to cover as much of free space as possible. So for example, here I would probably aim it somewhere around here or here, most likely. And as you can see, it will easily pull you towards him. This white range, of course, is great, but also it doesn't work with terrain. So, for example, as you can see here, it will just be about this thin line. You have to hit that one to be able to be pulled towards terrain. But all this, oh my god, sorry. Rest of this works with every alive thing. Now, your W. When you use it, you will get from 9 to 13% of your max HP as a shield. And your auto attacks will deal bonus magic damage while the shield is active. Another really good thing about this is that it is an auto attack reset. So as you can see here, I will attack really slow, but with W I can do something like this. That was the passive interaction I was talking about. It is really great, and if you happen to be with two enemies, it is so good. Another thing is that you usually want to use it with in combos. I will be talking about that later. Keep in mind that your W, together with every other ability, can be cast during your Q. So you can try to use it when you're coming towards enemy if you have to, but most of the time you want to use it for the reset. Another good thing to know about the reset is that because it's auto attack reset, it can delay your auto attack. So don't let something like this happen. You see, you just delay your first Q, and it can't happen because it's really important part of your set. And that's probably gonna be everything to talk about with W. Next, E. You will basically throw around all these little water thingies, which will slow enemies, and every additional that hits them will deal 50% damage. So it is again really nice. It deals 50 oh my god, 50% slow for more than 1 second. So it's really nice with 3 second cooldown. Again, you can use this with your Q. I will talk about that at the end of the video. And last, we got your ultimate. You will, I will try to, you will in this circle choose an enemy and knock up and send this water again thingies, knocking them up. It will knock up everyone in their way, so it is great for team fights, and on level 16 it stuns for 2 seconds, so it is really good. Thing to note about this is that it will always start in front of you. So as you can see, for example, here, it goes straight through. But if you use it when you... Oh my god. When you use it while facing somewhere else, it will always start in front of you. So for example, if I would want to knock both of these up, I would try to use your Q, and then while in there, you will ulti this guy, and should be able to knock both of them up like this. It also works with flash, but that just depends on you. Just know that it's a possibility, and it is a really strong ability in my opinion, so you keep it in mind. You of course can Q to a Terran too, but it is really nice. And now let's have a look at some combos. First that comes in mind is on level 2, you just... Also, when you're playing with in lane, try to always position yourself. For example, if you have enemy here, you want to position yourself so if you don't hit him, you can always get to terrain. So let's just say that he would dodge, you would just go here and still get something out of your effort. So here we are, and easiest combo is on level 2. You just Q someone, auto attack them, W, and then continue. Your ADC should be ready to engage by that. On level 3, you will go for Q, auto attack W, and then E them. And if you're in fight, just use your abilities again. For some later game, you probably wanna be using your ultimate, then your Q, W, and E. It is really easy. And last, your ultimate, and because W is proc only when you enter a combat. So you can use your ultimate, and thanks to it not hitting anyone yet, you can walk to the first target it hits. So let's just say that you do this, walk up to them, slow them, W them, E them, and then you have your Q ready if they would flash away or something else. And yeah, that's probably gonna be everything. Of course, oh, also when you're escaping or engaging, you want to cast your E while in your queue so it happens faster and doesn't have this little delay. So let's just say, as you could see, when escaping, you want to do this right as you press your Q, so they are slowed and you are able to run away more easily, or you can do it like this. And thanks to that 3-second cooldown, you are able to cast it 2 times. For example, instead of one in shorter fights. And yeah, that's gonna be probably everything. In lane, as I has told before, always try to be aggressive, get picks for your team. Later, just try to convince your team to wait with you in a brush, easily get a lone player, and in team fights, you just have to hit your ultimate right and win. Try to spend some time with your ultimate facing side. I'm sorry. That's gonna be everything. I hope you like the video. Leave a like if so. Let me know if you would want some other support or any other champion next. And yeah, you can subscribe for more content. And goodbye. Petri out.